Sade once saying every day is Christmas and every night is New Year's Eve. Well, you guys know that my Christmas is the draft. My New Year's is the trade deadline. So it's the day before the deadline. We've already seen Von Miller moved to the Rams. Yesterday, Odell Beckham caught a pass for 6 yards. Clearly an odd fit in Cleveland. Charles, you broke down all the challenges with moving him in his contract in your column on Yahoo. So just you're looking at your phone. You've been in touch with GMs. You're working on who's going to be moved. What other big names might get moved between now and tomorrow?
I was texting somebody about Von Miller, and someone very keenly pointed out to me, hey, everybody forgets, and this is the Rams here, they have like 5 compensatory picks this year.
Yeah.
So they didn't lose all their picks. They don't, like everyone's like, oh, they don't have picks until the 5th round. They actually have 5 compensatories coming, including in the 3rd, the 4th. I mean, they're going to have anyway, I apologize. Sorry, what was the question again? I'm sorry, I kind of flaked.
That's an astute observation. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. They not only have they hit on later round picks, they got the 3rd for Brad Holmes going to Detroit as well. You know what I mean? So they got they're working the system. But I was just asking, what other big names can we expect to be moved between now and 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow?
Well, there's a lot of Kyle Fuller talk right now, the corner for the Broncos, because now that Von has been moved. The thought process is, okay, they're clearing some salary here, and they could, and for them, they actually got something out of Von in a contract that's expiring this year. Now they're essentially looking at the same situation with Kyle Fuller. The question is, it's sort of like, okay, what are the Cowboys going to do? Like right now, when you text around, people are like, are the Cowboys going to make a move? Like, is this sort of a counter move coming? Maybe Melvin Ingram from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who salary-wise could fit for the Cowboys? Could it be Kyle Fuller? Kyle Fuller, not so. I mean, in terms of what he's still due, it'd be tough for the Cowboys to do that. They'd have to restructure a little bit, move some money around to fit like a Kyle Fuller. But those are Ingram and Fuller are 2 guys that people are definitely trolling around right now. I know you talked about Odell coming in.
Yeah, that would be a.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's just, I mean, with Odell, there's
no market.
No, there's no market for him. I mean, he's due about $8 million. Wow. He's got remaining this year, $8 million remaining. The shoulder injury, the coming off the ACL, the fact that he's done nothing in that offense. You can say it's fit. Yeah, some of it has been Baker's fault. I think some of it's fit, some of it's Odell, but it's just a situation where I think if the Browns could get anything for him, they would move on from him so that they could then take that $8 million and roll it into next season. It's just a bad fit. And I here's the thing about Odell. He has not been, when we hear his name, we still, and this speaks to how good he was the first 3 years of his career, we're still seeing 2016 Odell in our heads, okay? Like and I'm not saying that Odell can't be that player, but he's only played, I think, 44 of his last 74 possible games. Like he could have appeared in 74 games, including the postseason last year. He's only played in 44. He's hurt a lot. I don't know that he is still the immaculate one-on-one matchup that he was prior to all the injuries. We just don't know. And so I think that's really affected the ability to be able to move him. And there's a lot of wide receivers available nowadays. Either in the draft or trade or whatever, you can go and get a lot of wide receivers now.
Well, that's what I was going to mention, whether it's Allen Robinson, Devontae Parker, Slayton, Brandon Cooks, Deshaun Jackson. Seems like a lot of wide receivers are on the market as well. But I guess one quick follow-up I just wanted on a trade deadline is like, look, I got my mouth all watered for some hash, and I don't want you to leave me with swallow orange juice between now and tomorrow. Given how top-heavy the NFC is with all these one-loss teams, and conversely, given how wide open the AFC looks, could a move like Von Miller to the Rams, could that spark something of an arms race at this trade deadline?
I would like to say yes, but the problem is you have, as I said, even though there's a lot of cap space, so there's there's going to be a healthy cap jump next year. Okay, so a lot of teams are going to have cap space. The problem is because 2023 triggers the TV money and cap jumps of $20 million every year starting in 2023. Teams are staring out into the abyss and they're saying, you know what? It's not just elite level contracts anymore. All these mid-level contracts are going to start to take jumps. So the way that teams are now looking to get ahead of the salary cap, it used to just be get ahead of the quarterback contract or get ahead of the, your best defensive player contract. No, now you want to get ahead of every contract. Like your mid-tier contracts, you're going to see teams really trying to push to extend even mid-tier players this coming offseason because they know the system's going to be so flush with money starting next year and then rolling into that 20 a year. So basically what I'm saying is the reason why I think it's going to be a quieter trade deadline, even with the Von Miller deal, is because teams are trying to conserve whatever little cap space that they have and roll as much forward as possible so they can be uber aggressive this coming off season, inking as many guys as possible.
Uh-huh.
You know what, Charles? I'm so mad at Mike Smith for that. You catch that Sade line at the beginning of this segment. So all I have in my head now is Sade lyrics, and he's talking about Christmas is better with this. Christmas is better with Sade, period. But anyway, these Sade lyrics, I'm thinking, sitting here waiting for you would be like waiting for winter. And I'm thinking of that line, and I'm thinking of the Deshaun Watson trade that I've been waiting on. That's not going to happen now, apparently. We learned that over the weekend, officially. We learned it over the weekend, Michael. And I'm just wondering, what happened, Charles? Why did it break down? Why isn't it going to be happening before tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern?
I mean, if it does not happen, is there potential for someone to cave in the next 23 hours, 22 hours? Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen, but spoke to someone. I don't want to say what team. I'm not going to say what team. I spoke to someone who would know, and they cast a significant amount of doubt that Watson is not on the Texans roster Wednesday. I think it's the same thing that we talked about in August. It was no one's going to blink on this whole idea of protections or adjusting compensation, right? Like it's just not going to happen. And then when we got into this whole thing where you had not just Stephen Ross and the Dolphins wanting Deshaun to settle the civil suits, but also the Houston Texans who are like, settle the civil suits so we can figure out how to move forward from that. That was just never going to happen. Like it wasn't. And frankly, I don't know that it was even possible to get a global settlement done because you don't know for a fact that you have every single plaintiff in these civil suits wants to settle or is even opening to settle. Some of them may want to go and have their day in court. There's just so much stuff going on.
Too many moving parts.
Yeah, and look, Miami had to basically Miami had to go, okay, you know what? Fine. We're going to give you full price. We're not going to ask for protections. Yeah. We're going to just completely cave. Or Houston was going to go, okay, we get it. Here are these protections. Or we just got to do what we got to do to move them off the roster. The Houston, let me real quick. I will tell you, Houston's standpoint right now is we've come this far. Like we've come this far at this point. It's not done. Why would we all of a sudden change how we're approaching this now? And they're starting to think that if anything gets resolved between now and April, they're looking at it and saying, we're going to be able to have a multitude of teams potentially come to the table if Deshaun loses. Look, there's a possibility Brian Flores might get fired in Miami. It's possible
that's what I was
that
could
say. Happen.
That's
like,
what I was going to say.
Wow.
And that changes everything.
He's been so hell-bent on Miami all along. Where this Carolina crap came from, I have no idea. Probably from the Texans. But it's always been Miami, Miami, Miami. That's always been the situation from Watson's standpoint. And what's interesting is that what are they, 1-7 now? Whatever they are. Bottom line is, 1-7 now. The whole landscape could change. You took the words right out of my mouth because he wants them. They may not be around to want him back, at least at administration under Stephen Ross. Real quick before we let you go, because we got to keep moving. Because Michael and I were having a great time talking about this Mike White story. You referenced him earlier. Robert Saleh leaving the door open for if Mike White plays at a high level, him perhaps being a long-term quarterback. What'd you make of that?
It's awesome. Like, that's great. Like, I think that's perfect. I think, and I think that he has, in terms of the general manager, Joe Douglas, I think Joe Douglas is like, yeah, that's fine. Like, don't de-escalate competition. Don't take things off the table. Like, that's fine.
Yep.
Be a coach. Encourage doing the things that are best for the team, not the things that are best for public relations, and you do get teams that are sitting there and they go, no, protect the pick, protect the value of the choice, or we don't want to look wrong. No, win. If you win, you never look wrong, really, if you win. And even if you do look a little wrong, you look progressive by saying what we really care about is playing the best players, and the best players are playing and we're winning games. Like, no one's going to care. Like, if all of a sudden Mike White steps in, and this is indicative, what do you go 37-45? Like, if that's really Mike White,
37-45. Yeah.
Yeah. If that's like real Mike White, Jets fans should be overjoyed that they have a quarterback who's capable of doing that, and then B, look, that's fine. You still can have an asset. You can still have, it didn't just lose something because Zach Wilson maybe gets beat out. But we are, by the way, this is one game here, okay?
That's okay. Don't pump nobody's brakes. Don't you dare pump. That's not what we do. That's not what we do here. We have to anoint Mike White as the king of New York. He is the king of New York, okay? Charles Robinson, the king of information. We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And if something happens between now and 5 o'clock, fire that up again and come back on and break it down for us if you can, okay?
All right, sounds good, guys. Have a good one.
All right, be good.